Hey everyone, it's Jenny at JC Cards, and today I'm joining you with a video that's part of a 3,000 subscriber video hop, courtesy of Maaike. I've linked to her channel in the description box below, as well as the next stop on the hop. There are prizes to be won, so be sure to take part. My video today is going to be focusing on masking and some creative ways to do masking. I'm going to show you 3 ways. The first one uses ink blending. The second version is a slightly easier way to do the same technique, and the third version uses glitter paste. So I'm starting off by doing lots of die cutting from Inkadinkado stamping masking paper. I'm using these tiny dies, which are the coordinating dies from the Amber's World set from Catherine Pooler, and as you can see I've die cut a lot of them. And I'm going to take a A2 size panel of cardstock. This is Bristol Smooth cardstock because I'm going to be ink blending on it, and I find that that is a little easier to do blending on without getting tool marks. And I'm applying the masking or masked images all over the background. I actually started with a couple of smaller images and then went to the large images and applied those in various random places on the cardstock, and then built back towards the smaller and smaller images. That's just a way of creating a more randomized background, and it's a little bit easier to get your images in the right places. I'm then using a blender tool and a craft mat and going in with some purple ink. These are inks from Catherine Pooler, and I'm blending the ink all over the masking paper. I did go over it with a Teflon bone folder just to make sure it was stuck down. And now I'm going around the edges with some Grape Crush. And then the fun part happens. I've let the ink dry a little bit just to let it soak into the paper. And then I'm coming in with my tweezers and carefully pulling back the masks. And you'll see that you get this gorgeous, crisp line around the masked area. And it's bright white underneath. And I've sped this up. It did take a little bit of time. One of the tricks and tips I found when doing this, especially for the paper in the center, was to slightly bend the cardstock. Helps the mask lift up a little bit, and you won't damage your cardstock if you're careful. I'm now going in with the coordinating stamps from the Amber's World set. I've got them arranged on my ink blocks, and I'm stamping them in black ink. And I'm trying as best as I can to line up the image with the white shadow area, but to be honest, in a couple of areas I didn't get it exactly right, and it doesn't really matter. I'm going for that white halo look around the outline of the images. And this approach and technique is a great way to do one layer cards while still keeping that dimension there without adding too much bulk. They're great for sending through the mail to your friends and your family without adding that extra postage cost on. Now I have die cut this hugs die from My Favourite Things. I've cut each letter 4 times and glued them together. I'm then going to add them to the centre of my card. They're die cut from Midnight Black cardstock from Catherine Pooler, and I'm just using a T-ruler to make sure they're lined up properly. As a finishing touch, I'm adding some Nuvo crystal gems. These are from the new Dreaming Colour collection in a couple of places on the card. And I did go back in and add some white gel pen in a couple of places in the flower centres just for an extra bit of added interest. So that completes the first card. For the second card, we're going to do it a little bit easier this time in case you're not really into ink blending. So I'm using this Flamingo. This is the coordinating die from the Stand Tall set from Catherine Pooler. And I've cut it again from Inkadinkado stamping masking paper. And I'm adding the Flamingo onto a panel of white cardstock in the same way as I did before. This is not Bristol Smooth, this is just normal premium white cardstock. And I'm using Party Dress ink, which I thought was a good colour for a Flamingo. And I'm smushing the ink pad, it's a good juicy one, directly onto the cardstock. It does look a little splotchy there, but it does fade into a smooth coverage as you leave it to dry. And before I remove the mask, I'm going in with some Shimmer Spritz and liberally splattering it all over the cardstock and drying it off my heat tool before I then lift up the mask. And this is probably my favourite part of this technique. It's awesome. I love the reveal of the white image below. Now I'm using my Misty to make sure I get this stamp lined up properly and inking it up again in black. And I did this on the Misty just because the stamp is a little larger and I really didn't want to mess up that panel. with just the one image as the focal image. I think the earlier card that we made, it's a bit more forgiving. I've added some of the ground area from the Stand Tall stamp set just to give the flamingo something to stand on. And then I'm using the sentiment from the You're Amazing stamp set by Catherine Pooler, and I'm using my powder tool just to make sure that the ink is completely dry underneath before I add my embossing powder. I'm using Wow Bright White Opaque embossing powder. And as a finishing touch, I'm using these cool sort of twirly pomegranate sequins from Honeybee Stamps, which give a little bit of pink bling to this card and brightens it up even more than it was before. So for my last card, I'm using the Halftone Hello from Altenew, which has a coordinating stamp and die set, and that's really important for these techniques. And I've die cut the Hello from stamping masking paper, and I'm using the Dot Fade Stencil from Altenew for this. I've adhered it directly over the panel that has the masking paper on it, and then I'm adding Caribbean glitter paste by Bo Bunny all the way over the panel, including over the masking paper, and then I'm going to set it aside to dry. Now, word of warning, I didn't think about this when I tried this technique. That glitter paste will really stick that mask down. It is not going to lift up as easily as the ones on the inked backgrounds. It can still be done, you just have to be careful and really kind of take your time. It's going to come off in pieces and you just need to pick at it, but it does work and it's worth the extra effort. And what you get when you've taken off the mask is that shadow effect in the glitter paste, and it's really cool. Definitely worth it in my opinion, but I just wanted to give you that warning that it's not as easy to remove that mask. You could of course try and remove the mask before the glitter paste dries. It would come off much easier, but I didn't want to risk smearing any of my glittered stenciled image. So it's up to you. That's my approach, and you may want to try a different one. I'm now using the outlined Hello from the Halftone Hello stamp set, and I'm stamping it in black. I've lined it up again in my Misty as I did before. There's then a solid Hello in the stamp set that matches that stencil, and I'm using the Daydream ink, which also matches the Caribbean glitter paste from Bo Bunny, to ink it up, and that way I'm going for a kind of monochromatic look on this card. And that finishes the card pretty much. I did complete a sentiment by using my good old Dymo label maker to create the word friend, because this is a friend themed video hop, and that finishes my final card. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please think about subscribing to my channel and click the bell to be reminded when you have another video. As I mentioned, the next stop on this hop is in the description box below. Have fun, and congratulations to Maaike for 3,000 YouTube subscribers. Have an awesome day. Bye.